Today, September 27th, Belize joins countries across the globe to celebrate World Tourism Day. This year's theme, Rethinking Tourism, highlights the new approaches being taken to rebuild tourism in a post-pandemic world. In Belize, like many other countries, tourism is a core pillar of national and economic development. However, today more than ever, tourism must continue to serve as a catalyst for sustainable development, social inclusivity, and creativity for us to rebuild this truly resilient sector. I am proud to say that Belize is ready for this new approach. As a matter of fact, our destination marketing strategies have always promoted Belize as an eco-friendly, naturally rich destination where our cultures and people form a part of the authentic connections that travelers are now seeking. Rethinking tourism is a call to action for each of us to do our part in making Belize a sustainable destination to travel and live in. It starts with having civic pride, protecting our human and natural resources, responsibly developing our landscape, and safeguarding our cultural practices. From the second largest barrier reef in the world, the iconic Blue Hole, lush forests and sandy beaches, to ancient Maya cities and diverse people, Belize is truly incomparable. We should all be proud to call Belize our home and make it our duty to ensure that our country's assets and resources can be experienced in their fullest for generations to come. As the single largest contributor to Belize's economy, the tourism industry encompasses entrepreneurs, the media, fisher folks, conservationists, food vendors, and many more. We all have a role to play in unlocking Belize's full tourism potential and making this very important industry beneficial for all of us. In our journey to building a more diverse and innovative tourism product, we are exploring emerging markets and new ways to promote Belize. Our local cuisine with its savory flavors, the opportunity to beat Garifuna drums, and to dive our barrier reef are a few of the immersive experiences topping bucket lists for travelers who come to our shores. No longer Mother Nature's best-kept secret, Belize has increasingly gained the attention of international publications, media, and celebrities who come for our raw, unfiltered experiences. The Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations and the Belize Tourism Board will continue in our efforts to promote Belize to new markets, develop the tourism infrastructure, introduce new training programs, improve safety and security, and seek other ways to creatively enhance our tourism product. As we prepare for a more successful season ahead, let us continue to work together to rethink and reimagine tourism. Happy World Tourism Day.
Happy World Tourism Day indeed. Joining us in studio, we are here to talk all about BTB World Tourism Day. We have Josue Carballo, the Director of Industry Development at BTB, and Abil Castañeda, the Director of Cruise, Quality Management and Capacity Development at BTB. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, so let's jump right into it. Relaunch, I would say, of Rethinking Tourism, I guess, after the pandemic. Talk to us about this new program.
Well, indeed, the team says a lot now, and that is what BTB has been doing with the new challenges, definitely with the new trends happening. We are very much abreast in terms of looking at how our region is growing, how Belize is growing, and as such the team fits right because it's a lot about innovation and touching base and really creating an identity for your product.
The crisis that came about because of COVID and all of that, in January of this year, the UNWTO mentioned that with crisis, it's always brings about creativity, innovation, and the need to look at change and transformation. And so that is the theme under which we, as a global industry, are celebrating our Tourism Day. Every September 27th is considered World Tourism Day. But today it really is an opportunity for us to reflect on where we were 2 years ago and where we are today. I mean, what we have been able to not only here in Belize, but overall in being able to recover and come back, has been a remarkable story. From the, it's almost a story of the phoenix, as they say, coming out of the ashes. But one of the things that, as the minister's message mentioned, there is a lot that we have to be thankful for, being Belizeans. As one thing is being able to provide a great tourism product. Another thing is for us as Belizeans to understand the value and the importance of what we have in our country, from the natural resources, from the people. And so in Rethinking Tourism, and we will share a little bit about what we're doing in that process of rethinking, we are trying to establish now what will tourism look like in the future for Belize. That's the call that has been asked of all countries, of all destinations this year, to really reflect and begin to look at what do we need to change, what do we need to evolve to be able to meet the demands not only of the market but also the needs of the people.
I mean, it's no secret that the pandemic basically brought tourism in particularly down, right? We had to learn how to be innovative through other mediums. Talk to us about the development from, not even before we opened the borders. What is it that that BTB had to do to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, how do we come out of this?
Well, definitely the COVID period gave us a time really not to stop working, but to actually regroup, regroup and be able to create a product that is now open to the world once more. So at the BTB, there have been numerous initiatives in the area of industry development. For example, 2 new desks were added. The Cultural and Community Outreach Desk, which is working, which works a lot with the outreaching programs. We've done murals. We've worked at different, looking at the different destination developments. We have also opened a sustainable tourism desk, which works a lot right now, working a lot with the NGOs, working at ways of preservation, and not only basically reforestation and other products, but actually more than that, regeneration programs that we're starting with sargassum cleanup, coral restoration. So there's a lot of programs that are being done, and more so in destination planning as well, opening up new areas, because tourism is so rich and it can be so rich in Belize to be able to reach all the corners of this country.
Well, we also found out that during that period of 2020, that before 2019, we were just looking at some of the numbers. We were on a record pace. We hit in 2019 500,000 overnight arrivals. In 2017 or 2018, we hit 1.2 million arrivals in cruise, and we were beyond our projected growth path. So when 2020 came, it kind of just deflated that whole balloon. But it made us also realize that we may have been taking certain smaller things for granted. And one of those things that came out in 2020 and throughout the pandemic is communication with our partners. We never had a strong relationship with, for instance, the Ministry of Health. Where health and safety should be in all now, it is, but before it wasn't a very high priority in terms of what we do from a tourism sector. So it allowed us to build these new partnerships. It allowed us to be able to reinforce the partnerships that we already had, like with the cruise lines, for instance. There was, for the first time, the cruise line industry coming together globally, working with each other. Before it was always a very competitive situation, but they came together, and then also the destinations came together, and we all were able to put together certain protocols and processes to get us to the point where we said, okay, now we can reopen, we can restart in a safe manner. And that was done for tourism on a whole. The BTB rolled out the Gold Standard program, which was a program that trained and had the hotels, tour operators, and other businesses that work in tourism go to a point where tourists could feel that they are safe when they came to Belize. And I think that along with us being very aggressive in how we marketed the country coming out of the pandemic, the relationships we built with the airlines, and that continues to be built with the airlines, really has been one of the main reasons why we are where we are today. And Mr. Carballo can share with you where our numbers are, just to show you how the recovery process is really coming about.
Well, definitely synergies and partnerships are so important, no? and this period gave us that lesson that we have to work together. And looking at it, I think WTO just recently released some statistics that growth, world recovery for this year has been at around 60% in terms of tourism. Our region has done better. We're at around 80%. But when we look at at Belize's, for example, PGIE arrivals, which accounts for right now over 90% of our tourism arrivals, we have grown right up to 88% of our pre-COVID period. Or year-to-year growth from last year to this year has been close to 25%. So a lot of these initiatives are working. We still have definitely room for growth and for comeback when we talk about the land borders. No? The land borders now, we're still, we have grown from last year to this year. We just reopened borders again by over 300%. Last year was so slow with the land borders. And so we have that room for growth as well. But it is really neat to see that there are also other trends that are very significant. We notice now that the average length of stay in Belize has grown from around 6 days in pre-COVID times to now around 8.7 nights.
People want to enjoy their vacation, leave it longer.
Yes. And you have seen numerous documentaries where people say, hey, I came to Belize for a couple of days and I just extended my stay. They just felt at home. We're talking about an average 3.3 travelers per group that are coming. So we're talking beyond just partners, maybe sometimes small families. People are coming in groups. So we see that happening. People are booking way before. So that's why people are reading, people are wanting to know, are planning ahead of time. We talk about over a third of bookings done to Belize are done 90 days or more before they come. Over 73% of it is done 30 days prior. So people are booking ahead of time. So it's important for stakeholders to be able to showcase what they have, because people are reading and people are buying Belize. And that's good.
These are your international numbers, but I think I'm curious to know what your statistics are for local tourism.
Well, in terms of, we at the BTB, we work with hotel revenues. It is definitely already surpassed pre-COVID numbers. So that means the trickling down effect starts at the hotels, and from there it goes down to the tour guides, so everything. We are working actually on a statistical platform called the Tourism Satellite Account, which will give us a better indicator of how that money trickles down to the economy. But if we know that already in terms of hotels going forward, we already are beyond COVID figures, that the economic effect is booming. Just for example, July itself, July was definitely, we were almost there to COVID figures. It was like a couple of percentage points down. We had the big festival that happened. We had other good initiatives. So that is what we're doing. We're trying to basically be the catalyst.
How are you engaging local communities with Rethinking Tourism?
So there's a myriad of processes that we're undertaking right now. I mean, we've taken this rethinking ethos to a new level. We are looking at all of our plans and policies that currently exist, and we are revising all of them. Currently, we are doing a revision of our Sustainable Tourism Master Plan for the country. That's being done through a collaboration between the University of Belize and the University of Melbourne in Australia, and that is, they finished their consultations, their first round consultations in August, and now they're looking at putting together some initial recommendations and thoughts. We are also revising the cruise tourism policy for the country. First draft should be ready shortly on that. Again, rethinking where we want to be 10 years later. In the case of the policy, in the case of the master plan, it also takes us to about 2030. We are also looking at, we're doing an initiative currently in looking at the different brands that exist in Belize, the Marie Sharps, the Belly Kings, all of those. And the reason for it is that those countries that have evolved to another level of tourism arrivals and development, they have done a great job in being able to integrate all their brands into one national image, one national identity. So we in Belize feel that that is also a very important thing to do now, because these businesses and companies, some of them are MSMEs, some of them are larger, but these are what propel local development from the tourism value chain. So we are also working in seeing how we can integrate further those brands into being one Belize brand. You go to Costa Rica, you think you like coffee. What's the most popular coffee in Costa Rica? It's Brits.
Yeah.
So that's something that we want to ensure, that when you speak about tourism and about the value proposition that Belize offers to a visitor or to its Belizean, that value proposition is included in every aspect of what you do. So on the table that you sit to have a meal, in the van that you are, in the coffee that you're sipping, all of those things have to be a part of the experience. And so this is the process that we're currently undertaking to really take a holistic view, look at what really we need to rethink. You know, before there was no issues, like I said, about health and safety. We didn't even look at that really.
You didn't think about it.
Climate change also is still very much there. I mean, we have our friends and our families in some cases in Florida right now bracing for a Cat 4 hurricane. Another major issue is renewable energies. You know, that's a new that is coming to us, and that is the demand that the industry has worldwide. So where are we from a tourism sector in terms of embracing those new trends and new elements that we should be looking at?
And when it comes to strategies and marketing, are there priority areas for, let's say, certain categories of tourists that you're trying to reach more than others, or is it more sort of a holistic, looking to increase in every different area?
No, it has to be very strategic, and the reason for that, it comes down to the amount of resources we have to be able to pump into the marketing. We do not have a marketing budget that compares to a Dominican Republic or even to a Costa Rica. They are beyond us. But what we have been able to do with the resources that we have is be very strategic in looking at the markets that are much more probable in visiting Belize. In our master plan, for instance, it called for us to focus a lot more on maybe lower quantity but higher quality type of tourism, and that is the ethos that we have been building on.
And BTB implementing the Belize Sustainable Development Plan into their activities?
So that's what we are revising as we speak. As I mentioned, that plan is still very important, very viable in what we're doing. It takes us to 2030. But when you have a shock like what we all had in COVID, it's very prudent upon government, upon administration to take a step back and say, maybe this plan that we had, that we did 10 years ago, needs to be relooked at to see how we will walk the path for the additional 10 years because of this shock in particular. So that's why we decided earlier this year to begin the process of engaging UB and University of Melbourne with their experts to come in and show us and work with us to see where exactly we need to change that path, if any. But the plan itself continues to be the plan for the country. We are not changing the skeleton of it. We are just ensuring that it takes us strategically where we would want to be.
And an important element to that, though, is that in accordance to our national plans, now we have the NSTMP. We also have, when you speak about Plan Belize, which is also a national mandate, it talks a lot about the involvement of the communities, no? So definitely branding is extremely important, like we said. And so apart from the physical products as well, when you talk about services offered in tourism, right now we are currently undergoing a full consultancy in music tourism. So what will bring, you want to hear, you hear bachata, you think about Dominican Republic, reggae, Jamaica. So we also want to create a niche for Belize when it comes to music as well. Innovation, investment is important. Like I think it's an exciting time right now, where all of us must be a part of it. If you're talking about every 40 cents to the dollar or more comes from tourism, we must embrace it as Belizeans. So that's why through marketing efforts, we have begun with the Civic Pride campaign, the Belizean Traveler campaign. It's important, It's important for us to embrace it and become a part of it, support it. And the initiatives just go on.
So what are the plans for today? What is BTB doing today for World Tourism Day?
So we, at all our entry points, the BTB has planned to provide some little treats to all our visitors coming in today and to commemorate. Another element of what we're working on is that we are very cognizant that even now in the recovery we must look at what challenges we are facing, and one of the challenges being faced by tourism on a whole globally is human resources. You know, there is labor shortage in the airline industry, in the cruise industry, and similarly locally there's also need for capacity development and for employment and all of those. So today we're actually hosting, in collaboration with Carnival Cruise Lines, a recruitment event here in Belize City for Belizeans to begin to learn about opportunities that exist in the cruise industry for employment, and so those are some of the activities that we are hosting today. There's also we will be announcing a award for a frontline person today to commemorate one of our most, I think, astute and frontline persons, and I can not say who they are, but I can share with you that it's one of our tourism police officers that will be awarded today and recognized for the excellent work that they have been able to do, not only during this time but even before. So we need to show as much appreciation as we can to our frontline personnel, because they are really the backbone of this industry. They are our ambassadors in many ways, and they are the ones that either make or break this industry. So we're glad to be able to take today under the auspices of the World Tourism Day to recognize one of our very, very good frontline persons.
And is there anything that us as the community, as the Belizean population, can look forward to from BTB in the next few months?
When it comes to growth, destination growth, we are focusing on. I know Southern Belize has grown a lot recently, so we're working on a new development in St. Bite, which will be a really neat welcome center there. So it's right smack in the middle of the peninsula, so we're working on that. We're also looking at different corridors in terms of how do we embrace the community, for them to become a part of different cultural corridors. We're actually working with the private sector to work on a football field for Pok in the north, for example. Hopefully we can host the World Cup here in the next year or two to come. We have Gales Point, Manatee as well. We have the Belize River Valley, which we're looking on a possible Creole corridor. So it's about us working heavily on the destinations which are responding, San Pedro, Kikok, or otherwise, but also seeing where growth will occur. So you can see a lot of new developments on that end as well.
We also have, just before we finish, there's two very key initiatives coming up in October, just to give a shout out on that. The first one is, again, having to do with capacity development. On October 13th and 14th here in Belize City at the Biltmore, the BTB will be hosting the first ever training expo for the industry. So we will have around 22 courses that tourism workers or tourism businesses can take advantage of. We will be featuring internationally certified training courses by the Florida International University. FIU will be coming down, providing courses for tour guides and storytelling, providing courses for hotels and executive management in case any hotel has any middle manager or manager that they want to take to the next level. We will have courses in sommelier training, mixology training. We also will have some training for attraction managers, the NGOs, the niches of the industry, and so we will have 22 trainings that really include something for all aspects of the industry, and this falls under the Elevate training program that the BTB has rolled out this year. And then later in the month, we are bringing back the tourism awards for the country. So that's when we will begin to acknowledge and be able to look at who are the top really performers in our industry, from hotels to frontline personnel to tour guides, etc.
Wonderful. Well, you have to come back and tell us more about that.
Sure.
But Mr. Castañeda, Mr. Carballo, thank you so much for stopping in this morning, and happy World Tourism Day.
Happy World Tourism Day, everybody.
Happy World Tourism Day.
And with that, we are going to take our final break, and we'll be back for wrap-up, so stay tuned.